Here's the question: should you pay off your mortgage early or invest? Both feel like the responsible move. For a lot of people, only one of them is, and it comes down to a single number in your loan. In this video, I'll show you how a mortgage actually works, what your money really earns after tax, and the one test that settles this. 2 numbers, 10 seconds. And by the end, you'll be able to run it on your own loan and know exactly what's right for you, paying it down or investing. Start with the loan itself, because once you see where your money actually goes every month, the whole decision changes. For almost 20 years, most of your mortgage payment doesn't go to your house at all. It goes to the bank. Let me show you how that happens. When you buy a house, you almost never pay for the whole thing up front. You borrow most of it from a bank. That loan is your mortgage, and the bank doesn't lend it for free. They charge you interest on top every month for 30 years. So let's use a real example. The typical American home costs $434,300 right now. Put down the standard 20%, that's $86,860, and you're borrowing the rest. That leaves a loan of $347,440. At today's average rate of 6.48%, your payment comes out to $2,191.49 a month. Now, watch what that payment is doing. Every month it splits into 2 parts. One part is your principal, the actual money you borrowed, the thing you're trying to pay back. The other part is interest, the bank's fee for lending it to you. You'd think those two split evenly. They don't, not even close. In month 1, your $2,191.49 payment splits like this. $1,876.18 goes straight to interest. Only $315.31 actually pays down your house. Do the math on that. $1,876.18 out of $2,191.49 is 85.6%. So 85.6% of your very first payment did nothing to shrink what you owe. It just went to the bank. So here's why. Interest gets charged on what you still owe. At the start, you owe almost the whole thing, so the bank takes its cut first, and your balance barely moves. There's a name for this. It's called an amortization schedule, a fancy word for the table that decides this split, payment by payment, and it's built to pay the bank first. How long does that last? Almost 20 years. 20 years. For the first 19 years of a 30-year loan, more of your money goes to interest than to your own house, every single month. It isn't until November of year 19 that it finally flips. Look where that leaves you. By year 20, you're through 20 of the 30 years, 2/3 of your time. But look at what you've actually paid off. Your loan balance is still $187,370. You started at $347,440, so you've only knocked off $160,070 of it. That's 46% of the loan gone, 2/3 of the time, and you're not even halfway paid off. And the total damage? On that $347,440 loan, you'd hand the bank $441,496 in interest. Add it to what you borrowed, and the house you bought ends up costing you $788,936. You buy it once, you pay for it twice. So paying this thing off fast looks like the obvious move, and honestly it might be, because paying down a mortgage does something almost nobody stops to think about. It pays you back with a guaranteed return. Let me show you. Here's something nobody tells you. Paying down your mortgage early is actually an investment, one of the safest you'll ever make. Let me show you why. Say you put an extra $500 a month toward your mortgage. Every dollar of that was going to get charged 6.48% interest year after year until you paid it off. Put it in early, and that charge disappears. So you just saved yourself that 6.48%. And here's the part that matters. Saving 6.48% and earning 6.48% are the exact same thing for your wallet. That's why paying down a mortgage is a return. You won't see it hit an account. It shows up as a bill that just never comes. And think about what that return is actually worth. A guaranteed 6.48% with zero risk. Go look at what a savings account pays right now, or a CD, or a government bond. Nothing safe comes close. Your mortgage hands you that same return in reverse the second you pay it down. That's what makes it special. It's guaranteed. The market can have a brutal year, and it does regularly. Your mortgage rate can't move an inch. Pay the loan down, and you lock that return in, no matter what's happening to everyone else. Now, one myth to clear up. You've probably heard that a mortgage is good debt because the interest is tax deductible. That used to be true for a lot of people. Then 2017 happened. A new tax law gave everyone a much bigger automatic tax break, one you get without doing anything. And it was so big that for most people, the mortgage write-off stopped being worth claiming at all. Before the change, about 31% of taxpayers used that write-off. Within a few years, it had collapsed to under 10%. The share actually claiming the mortgage interest break fell from 22% down to about 7%. So for most people today, that tax perk is gone, which means the full rate is what the loan actually costs you. And that makes paying it down worth a little more than you'd think. So there's your first number, a guaranteed return, no risk, locked. That's the number to beat, which raises the real question, can the market beat it? Because the whole time you've been paying that loan, the market hasn't been sitting still. So here's the other door. Instead of paying extra on the mortgage, you invest that money. When people say invest, they usually mean the S&P 500, a basket of around 500 of the biggest companies in America. Buy an index fund that tracks it, and you own a slice of all of them at once. Since 1957, the S&P 500 has returned about 10% a year on average. Let's make that real. Take $500 a month, invest it at 10%, and leave it alone for 30 years. It would grow to over $1.1 million. You'd put in $180,000 of your own money. The market would add the other $950,000. Hold on though, two things about that number. First, you don't actually keep the full 10%. Taxes take a bite, and honestly, nobody knows if the next 30 years look like the last 30. So to be safe, you plan around a lower number. Call it 7.5%. That shiny $1.1 million is the best case version. Second, that 10% is an average, not a promise. Some years the market soars, some years it crashes. Look at this. Every year, a different type of investment ends up on top. The order is chaos. In 2008, the market fell about 37%. In 2022, it dropped about 18%. And here's the catch. If you needed that money during a crash, you'd be selling at the bottom, locking in the loss. That's the real difference. Your mortgage return is guaranteed. The market return is an average with a roller coaster bolted on. One more thing, and it tips the scale toward investing. Your mortgage payment never changes. It's locked for 30 years. But prices in general keep rising over time. That's inflation, and a dollar slowly buys less. So years down the road, you're paying that same fixed bill with cheaper dollars. The longer you stretch it out, the lighter that payment feels. Rush to kill it, and you hand that advantage back. So now you've got both sides, a guaranteed 6.48% on one, a bumpy 7.5% on the other. Halfway there. And in the end, I'll show you how to run it on your own loan and know exactly what's right for you, paying the mortgage or investing. Now back to our numbers. The guaranteed 6.48% on one, a bumpy 7.5% on the other. Closer than it looked, right? Now you just compare them and pick the winner. Except that's the trap, because the obvious way to put those two numbers side by side is completely wrong. Here's the trap. You line up the two numbers like this. On one side, invest $500 a month, and in 30 years you'd have over $1.1 million. On the other, put that same $500 towards your mortgage, and you'd save about $192,000 in interest. Then they point at the gap and say, see, investing wins by a mile. Except that comparison is broken. Those two numbers aren't the same kind of thing. One is a balance, actual money sitting in an account. The other is interest you avoided, money you simply didn't spend. You can't subtract one from the other. It's like comparing how much something weighs to what color it is. So let's do it right. You measure both the same way, by what you're actually worth at the end. Your net worth, what you own minus what you still owe. Run that on the 7.5% you really keep over 30 years. The invest side leaves you with about $674,000. The paydown side, loan gone early around year 18, then 12 years of investing the freed up payment, leaves you with about $587,000. Investing still wins, but by about 87 grand. not the $950,000 the broken comparison sold you a minute ago. And once you strip the dollar signs off, the whole thing shrinks to something you can hold in your head. Two numbers, your mortgage rate and your after-tax return. Whichever one's higher, that's your answer. That's the whole test. Right now, that after-tax return sits around 7.5%. Your mortgage rate, 6.48%, sits just under it. So the market edges it out, but barely. And two things decide exactly where your personal line lands. The first one is the part most people get backwards. So here's what you've probably been told. The more years you've got left on your mortgage, the more it makes sense to invest. Long timeline, lean toward the market. Short timeline, pay the house down. It sounds right. It's also wrong, at least as the thing that decides it. Let me show you why. Take our test, your rate against your return. Run it with 5 years left on the mortgage. Now run it with 30. The winner doesn't change. If your return beats your rate, investing comes out ahead either way. More time, less time, the side that wins stays the same. So if time doesn't pick the winner, what does it do? It changes two things, how big the gap is, and how much risk you're taking to get there. Think about the gap first. Over 30 years, that small edge, 7.5% against 6.48%, compounds into real money. We just saw it, about 87 grand, but over 5 years, that same edge barely has time to grow. The winner's the same, the prize is just smaller. Now the risk, and this is the part that actually matters. Picture you've only got 5 years before you need that money. The market drops 30% in year 4, and it does that sometimes. You're almost out of time to climb back. That's brutal. But with 30 years, a crash in year 4 is a blip. You've got decades to recover. So your timeline was never picking the winner for you. It was telling you how confident you can be in the bet. That's what the rule of thumb gets backwards. It treats time like the deciding factor. It isn't. Your rate against your return decides it. Time just tells you how confident to feel about the bet. So on paper, when your rate and your return are the same, it's a tie. Pay down, invest, doesn't matter, same result. But you don't live on paper. Here's what those two numbers hide. One of them is certain, the other isn't. Your mortgage return, that 6.48%, is locked, guaranteed. The market's 7.5% is an average, with a roller coaster bolted underneath it. And a sure thing and a maybe aren't worth the same to everyone. So think about what that means for you. If market swings keep you up at night, that certainty is worth more to you than a slightly higher maybe. There's nothing soft about that. Plenty of smart people take the lower guaranteed thing just to sleep better. Your peace of mind is part of the math too. So your personal line might sit a little bit lower your actual return. The more you value certainty, the more paying down makes sense, even when the raw numbers lean the other way. Now, before you run any of this, there's an order to it. The test only kicks in for truly spare money. Money you've got left after a few things come first. First, if your job offers a 401k match, take it. That's free money. Your employer matching what you put in, often dollar for dollar. Skipping that to pay your mortgage means turning down an instant 100% return. Nothing here beats that. Nothing. Second, build an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses sitting in cash. Because if you sink every spare dollar into the house and then lose your job, you can't pull it back out to pay rent, which brings up the catch nobody mentions. Third, wipe out high-interest debt. Credit cards mostly. If that's charging you 20%, no mortgage decision matters until it's gone. Then, and only then, does this test come into play. And here's the thing. Money you pour into your house gets locked in the walls. You can't spend home equity at the grocery store. To get it back, you're selling the place or taking another loan. Cash you can actually reach has value the math doesn't always show. So if you're genuinely torn, split it. Half to the mortgage, half invested. When two choices are this close and one is safer, splitting isn't a cop-out. It's a smart play. You get some growth and some peace of mind. So let's actually run it. On you. Find your mortgage rate. Compare it to what you'd really keep investing. Call it 7.5%. Higher number wins. That's the whole test. Here's where you probably land. Did you lock in something around 3% back in 2021? This one isn't close, not even a little. Your rate sits way below what the market gives you. Every spare dollar belongs in the market. Leave that mortgage alone and let it ride. Are you somewhere in the mid-sixes, like most people who bought recently? Now you're right on the line. The market still edges it, but the gap's thin enough that it stops being just math. If certainty helps you sleep, paying down is a perfectly good call. If you can ride the swings, invest. Both are right. It comes down to you. And if your rate creeps up near 7.5% or past it, maybe an older loan, maybe one you take out down the road, it flips. Now the guaranteed win beats the bumpy one. Pay it down. That's it. One test, two numbers. Your call. And that timeline everyone told you to obsess over, it was never the thing. So say you ran it, and you landed on paying down the house. Good. But there's a right way to do it that won't choke your budget. 3 ways, actually. If the test pointed you at investing instead, you already know what to do. Put that money in every month and leave it alone. This part's for the paydown crowd. All 3 of these do the exact same thing. Get extra money onto your principal faster. They just make it easier to actually pull off. First, the bi-weekly trick. Instead of one full payment a month, you pay half every 2 weeks. Sounds like nothing changes, but there are 52 weeks in a year. Half payments every 2 weeks gives you 26 of them, and that adds up to 13 full payments instead of 12. You sneak in 1 extra payment a year without ever feeling it. On our loan, that pays it off 5 years and 9 months early, and saves about $98,000 in interest. Second, you just round up. Every $200 to every payment, about 1 less takeout order a week. That pays it off 6 years and 2 months early, and saves $107,345. Third, throw windfalls at it. Tax refund, work bonus, birthday money, whatever lands in your lap. Drop a one-time $10,000 on the loan early, and you cut about 2.5 years off of it, and save around $54,000. And the earlier you do it, the better it hits, because the balance is biggest at the start, so that's where interest does the most damage. One rule ties all 3 together. When you send extra money, call your lender and tell them to put it toward the principal, not next month's payment. Skip that step and the whole thing falls apart. So that's the honest answer. There's no single right move here, just yours, your rate, your return, and how much a good night's sleep is worth to you. The only real mistake? Leaving that money sitting in a checking account while inflation eats it alive. So let's say you ran the test and the market won. The next question is what? And there's a version where $10 a day turns into a $700,000 portfolio that pays you over $5,000 a month for the rest of your life. That video's on screen right now.